Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMB Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at the new album, the comeback album from Jonas Brothers, titled Happiness Begins. Let's get to it. I don't feel like I have to really say much about Jonas Brothers because anyone that's interested in them would already know who they are, but they were in that vein of the Disney sort of band that came out in the mid-2000s, became very popular, and was really popular for younger teens. And then they had to break up due to a lot of inner turmoil between the brothers, and each of them kind of went their separate ways. And some of them made some fine music. Joe Jonas was with DNCE. Cake by the Ocean would be the hit that most people know. Nick did his own stuff. It was fine. None of them have really done stuff that really captured my attention, but wasn't bad by any means. And then out of nowhere, they come back with the single Sucker. And honestly, I really love Sucker. I think it's a great track. It's one that really gets stuck in my head, and it's fun. No, it's not perfect, but for a pop song, especially in a time where there's a lot of really bleak pop music, it was a big uplifting song that just kind of was fun, if anything. And I enjoy it a lot. The bass line's fun and funky, and I really like the synthesizers that come in. It's an interesting song, and I do enjoy it. And then even we got Cool, which was kind of a letdown. I didn't really enjoy it too much, but it was adequate. It was fine, and it showed them still sounding like they were having fun. So ultimately, I was kind of excited for this project. So what did we get with this album? Honestly, for me at least, it's kind of a letdown. A lot of these songs are straying away from a more traditional pop sound and going for a more R&B sort of smooth, sultry sort of sound. Very similar to a lot of stuff that Nick Jonas was doing. And I do feel like he kind of wins out here, vocally and stylistically. He kind of takes control of the group, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, just it's reference, so you know kind of what you're getting into with this. It's not going to have more of that alt-rock sort of vibe that DNCE had. No, it's going to be more of that Nick Jonas sort of Justin Timberlake ripoff sort of sound. And honestly, it just doesn't really work. And that's really unfortunate, because some of these songs are actually okay. There are maybe 4 that I really actually do enjoy. And honestly, in context to the album, Cool stands out because it stands out in the sense that it sounds like they're having fun, and that is something that is severely missing from this album. It sounds like it was just pushed out. Nothing really has any substance. The lyrics, there's nothing really to talk about. It all is completely without substance at all, without anything to really dig into, and that's the problem. There's nothing interesting here at all. Like I said, the lyrics are weak. The production's weak. The songwriting and instrumentation is typically uninteresting. There's a lot of synthetic drums that really just take over the mix, which don't typically bother me, but just don't really stand out or do anything interesting. And then, as I said, ultimately, some of the biggest problem is that Joe and Nick, the 2 vocalists, aren't doing anything. They don't sound interested or excited or like they're really giving it their all. It sounds like they're kind of phoning it in, and some tracks do, and that's why I said Cool kind of comes back, because it sounds like they're a little more into it than they do on a lot of the other deep cuts on this album. And Sucker still stands tall as just a truly great song, but Sucker was very misleading, as it's not at all what the album sounds like. Sucker and Cool, honestly, kind of stand out as being totally different stylistically from the rest of this album. The rest of it's very slow, mid-tempo, and it gets really boring. On top of that, this is a pop album, and where are the hooks? 90% of these songs I'd never be able to remember, given me a week without listening to this. Sucker, as I said, will stand out in my head, but Cool has yet to really get stuck, and it's been out for quite a while now. It just isn't really sticking. There's nothing here of substance, and that doesn't necessarily make it bad. It just doesn't do anything at all to stand out. A good comparison for the style that they're going for here is like Justin Timberlake and maybe a little bit of The Weeknd. Not to say that they're really adequately doing The Weeknd, and I'm not a huge Justin Timberlake fan, so I don't really feel that they're quite getting there, but much closer, because Yeah, this is fine in comparison to Justin Timberlake, because I just don't like Justin Timberlake. But The Weeknd does it way better, in my opinion. Like, Only Human, the third track on this album, it just sounds like a cheap knockoff Weeknd song. And a lot of this does. The whole production feels very weak, very thrown together, and for a band that probably has quite a bit of money, especially because two of the brothers have found plenty of success doing music. It just is surprising that this seems so incredibly cheap and just thrown together. Another two tracks I do enjoy are I Believe and Strangers. Strangers feels like a One Direction song, and it doesn't... It's fine. It's a pretty good song, and I do really enjoy it. It doesn't have, necessarily anything to really hold on to, but it is a catchy song that I do enjoy, and I Believe has a good washed-out instrumentation that I do actually like. We do also get Love Her, which has a very recycled melody to it, and ultimately just kind of comes across as condescending, as the whole time, the whole thing's like, no matter what we're arguing about, she's always right, and it almost just feels like it's more of the, like, old married man kind of going, oh, the wife is always right, and that kind of mentality just kind of comes across as condescending, almost like, and it has this warped view and that just sacrifice no matter what, and that's what love is, and I don't think that that's true. It's probably the weakest song on here, because it stands out as being an actually bad song in the midst of a lot of just mediocre. Ultimately, the total lack of hooks or anything interesting to dig into really kills this album. There are some good songs, and so it does slightly lean into the good side here, but ultimately it just doesn't have anything here to really grab onto and keep me interested. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. But what did you guys think of this album? Please let me know down below. Also, I do have a Twitter. A link is in the description, so go check that out. I do try to tweet on it. I'm pretty bad about it, but go check it out. Besides that, thank you guys for watching this video. Despite the fact that I don't love this album, Suckers remains one of my favorite songs I've heard in a long time. Probably wouldn't make a year-end list, but it is a very good song, very catchy. So I'm going to go listen to that, and I will see you guys later.